You have 7 days to join the HOA, or we're tearing this porch down. That's what the man in the gray suit said, standing on my front steps, waving a wrinkled piece of printer paper like it was a court order. I hadn't even finished unpacking. This was the house I grew up in, the one my grandmother built with her own hands, the one I just bought back after 30 years. And now, apparently, the local HOA thought they could claim it like some kind of kingdom decree. I remember staring at that man's badge, half covered by his thumb, no number visible. The kind of plastic you can order online for $12. He said I was in violation. I said the house was outside the HOA boundary, 207 feet outside to be exact. He didn't blink, just pointed at the paper and said, "We have authority." Then he left in a black Lincoln with no logo, no plates I recognized. My instincts, 20 years as an investigative journalist, screamed, "This stinks." I took photos, every angle, his badge, his car, the fake seal that looked like it came from an office supply kit. Then I opened my laptop. Public records search, county permits, survey maps. Everything matched what I already knew. I was clean. No liens, no disputes, no HOA jurisdiction anywhere near my property. But the letter still sat on my kitchen counter like a taunt. 2 days later they came back. This time there were 2 of them, the same man and a woman in a red blazer. They had a laser measurer, a clipboard, and confidence. "Mr. Huxley," she said, "we're here for a mandatory setback inspection." She handed me a photocopy that claimed to be from the city, black and white, no signature, no watermark. The seal was smudged and off-center. I held it up to the light. "This isn't from the city," I said. She smiled like a teacher correcting a slow student. "We're the authorized compliance team. The city delegates enforcement to us." That was the moment I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a scam. But I let them measure just to see how far they'd go. The man called out numbers. The woman wrote them down. They handed me a carbon copy form with half-legible handwriting and a QR code that didn't work. When I scanned it, my phone said, "Invalid format." I laughed because if I didn't, I'd probably explode. That night, I pulled every document I had, permit survey maps, stamped certificates, and compared them to the so-called inspection notice. The fonts didn't match, the colors were off, the seal was laser printed, and the more I looked, the more my old instincts took over. I'd covered scams like this, fake inspectors, forged permits, pressure tactics designed to shake down homeowners who didn't know how to verify anything. Except now I wasn't writing about it. I was living it. The next morning I drove to City Hall. The clerk behind the counter scanned the paper and frowned. "This isn't ours," she said. "We'd never issue this. HOA groups can't order inspections through the city." She printed me a certified copy of the actual HOA boundary map. She tapped the red line and said, "Your property's 207 feet outside. They have zero authority over you." Then she lowered her voice. "You're not the first. Others have called, but no one's ever filed a complaint." Driving home, I kept hearing that line, "You're not the first." That meant someone else had already been hit and maybe had given up. 2 days later, I started getting automated calls. "This is a final compliance notice from Sunset Ridge HOA management. Failure to remit payment will result in lien and foreclosure." Then texts. "Outstanding balance, $14,800. Pay now." Even a glossy trifold flyer appeared in my mailbox demanding $5,000 for a community infrastructure fund. They were escalating testing, which threat would stick. At that point I began to doubt myself. What if I missed something in the title paperwork? What if the boundary changed? Maybe I was inside their jurisdiction somehow. I sat at my grandmother's old kitchen table, surrounded by manila folders and coffee-stained maps, and thought, maybe I should just pay and be done with it. But then I remembered every crook I'd ever exposed their smug faces when fear worked. That memory burned away the doubt. I wasn't paying a dime. That's when the package arrived. No return address, no postage, just a brown box on my porch. Inside a USB drive and a note written in shaky handwriting. "Check the contractor truck. You're not the first." The videos on that drive changed everything. Doorbell footage from other houses. Same gray suit man. Same woman in red, threatening retirees, handing out fake notices, collecting fees. In one clip, a man actually signed a form and handed over cash. The third video showed their black Lincoln parked behind a white pickup truck labeled O+ Home Inspections. I looked up the company, Real Licensed, and as it turned out, their truck had been stolen 2 months earlier. Someone was using its logo to look legitimate. Whoever sent that drive knew what was happening. I posted on the neighborhood forum asking if anyone else had been contacted by Sunset Ridge HOA management. Within hours, I had replies. Got same call. Received a notice. They threatened to lien my home. And one message that simply said, I have more information. Meet me tomorrow, library 2 p.m. Blue scarf. Her name was Vivian Ashford. 72 widow, terrified and furious. She'd paid them $3,000 14 months ago, then started recording every visit afterward. She had 8 months of footage, 6 addresses, timestamps, even notes about their vehicles. I was scared, she told me. But when I saw your post, I thought maybe someone finally wasn't. We decided to work together. She gave me her folder. I promised to protect her. When my son Dashiell came to visit that weekend, I told him everything. He's a cybersecurity specialist, young, methodical, smarter than I'll ever be. He scanned their fake badges, the QR codes, the phone numbers. Dad, he said these are burner lines, the websites hosted overseas. The badges are templates anyone can buy online. This is organized fraud. Together we built an evidence wall. Photos, screenshots, county documents versus fakes. He created a digital timeline, addresses, dates, amounts. We found a pattern. They targeted homes outside HOA boundaries, mostly owned by elderly people or recent buyers, people least likely to fight back. I reached out to 2 others who'd replied to my post. One man had paid $1,500 after being told his driveway was too wide. Another, a nurse, had refused but spent weeks afraid to leave her house. Both gave sworn statements. We compiled everything, paper, photos, recordings, into a single case file an inch thick. And then I announced a community meeting. Thursday night, my house. Topic: HOA fraud investigation. By 7 o'clock, my living room was packed, 43 people inside, 200 more watching the live stream. I stood by the projector screen, hands trembling not from fear, but from the weight of it. 3 weeks ago, I began 2 people came to my door and threatened to demolish my porch unless I paid $15,000. They said they were HOA compliance officers. They lied. Slide by slide, I laid it all out. The fake badges, the fake documents, the fake company. The room was dead quiet except for gasps when I showed the video of the scammers intimidating elderly homeowners. Vivian stood up then, voice shaking but clear. I paid them $3,000. I thought I was the only one. I was ashamed, but I started recording. And I'm done being afraid. The crowd erupted, shock, anger, relief. People began shouting, "They came to my house too. I got those calls." The noise swelled until the doorbell rang. I turned. On the porch stood the gray suit man and the woman in red staring at the crowd through the doorway. The timing was almost cinematic. I stepped forward, phone recording. "You're welcome to join us," I said. "We're just discussing your line of work." The color drained from his face. "Wrong address," he muttered, turning to leave. But before he could reach the car, patrol lights washed the street in blue. 2 officers stepped out of a cruiser. One approached me. "Mr. Huxley, you called about a fraud in progress." I pointed. "That's them." The officers questioned them on the spot. The man tried his usual line. "We're HOA compliance officers." The cop held up the plastic badge, turned it over under his flashlight, and said flatly, "This isn't issued by any county agency." He called dispatch. Moments later, another car arrived, an unmarked sedan. A detective got out. "I'm Detective Graves," he said. "We've been tracking an HOA impersonation ring for 6 months." He opened the trunk of their Lincoln. Inside, laptop box of fake badges, stacks of letterhead, and a cash box full of bills. The laptop contained a spreadsheet, 34 addresses, names, payments, amounts, pending. Vivian gasped. Half those names were people from our neighborhood. The detective read them their rights right there under my porch light. Fraud, criminal impersonation, identity theft, theft by deception, 14 counts and counting. The woman started crying, insisting she didn't know it was illegal. The man Clayton, his license said, just stared at the ground. The cuffs clicked cold and final. The crowd applauded. Some cried. I just stood still, staring at the porch railing. My grandmother once leaned on to watch sunsets, the same porch they'd threatened to tear down. That's where it ended for me. The sound of the cuffs. The reflection of red and blue lights on the black Lincoln. After months of threats, doubt, and sleepless nights, the truth finally stood visible, undeniable. They'd tried to steal my peace, my home, and the trust of an entire neighborhood. But the one thing they didn't count on was that I'd spent my life hunting liars. And the thing about liars, they always leave gaps. You just have to be stubborn enough to look through them.